the agenda for today's webinar. It will be short and sweet, but still a lot of news in this webinar. And besides parallel backup, I have a leak for you that you will be one of the first people to get this news. You will see in a moment what this is. Basically, three things. I show you parallel backup, what the current situation is, and what update will come with software 1.4.1. And the two other updates of 1.4.1, we can set an import limit at the inverter, and dynamic power control gets a new interface. But let's start with the most important topic, with parallel backup. So this is the situation currently. We have a solar system, one hybrid inverter connected to a battery system, and probably several other AC producers, other inverters in the system. In backup mode, the hybrid inverter runs at a higher frequency. Usually this is 53 instead of 50 Hertz, or at least in Austria. And the other inverters then are thrown out of the system. They shut down. They're not running in during backup operation. So there is only one inverter during backup operation, and the inverter is running at a higher frequency. Also, only one battery system is possible. So we can have several hybrid inverters in the PV system, but only one battery system. One battery system can contain of several towers, up to 4 towers we can set in parallel with the Reserva or the Reserva Pro, but only connected to one inverter. Now, with software 1.4.1, what will change? So the software will launch in the middle of June, so before the Intersolar. And with this software, it will be possible to run several inverters in backup operation. That means in detail, up to 5 Fronius inverters. Fronius inverters is written in bold for a reason. So just Fronius inverters, not any others, not any third-party inverters, and not any other AC generators. Still, we have only one hybrid system, one hybrid inverter, and one battery system, not several battery systems. And if I say Fronius inverters, then I mean only the Gen 24 and the Verto series. So this parallel backup will not be possible with snap inverters, Tauros, as I said, third-party inverters, or also any gas generators. Verto and Gen 24 series in total. So doesn't matter if it's a plus device or not a plus device. In any case, they can run parallel. And as you also see, the Gen 24 SIMO for the 3-phase inverters, software 1.4.1 will be needed. For the Primos 1.4.2, so depending on what systems you are installing usually. And because I can already smell this question in the air, is it possible to connect several battery systems, or when will it be possible to connect several battery systems? Not yet is the answer, but coming soon. We see the demand, we're working on it. And it will be possible to set several active hybrid inverters in backup operation. However, not now. Scheduled for 2027, or let's say, yeah, within the next time. I can't tell you a fixed timeline, more or less within next year. And then it will be possible to have several inverters, several hybrid inverters, several battery systems running in parallel. Let's go back to parallel backup and let's see how to commission it and what settings you need to do. First of all, let's take a look at the cabling. So as you can see, we have several inverters, one coordinator, and up to 4 supporters, in that case 2. Of course, the backup switch and the controller and the smart meter. What hasn't changed is that the backup controller is connected to the coordinator via pin 6, pin 7, and pin 0. At least those are the default settings. Those are the interlock, feedback interlock, and feedback grid connection. The supporters, they need also be connected via pin 6 and pin 7. So for the feedback pins, they have to be connected to the supporters as well. What is new is that we need another pin. By default, this will be pin 2 for the coordinator to send a signal to the supporters in backup operation. So as long as the coordinator is in backup operation, it sends a signal to the supporters, and in that way the supporters know that they can also run in backup operation. So in total, then we will need 4 pins: pin 0, 6, and 7, and also pin 2. That one is new. Then let's take a look at the settings in the inverter interface. I said it in the beginning. So far, we set a frequency offset at the coordinator, and usually this frequency offset is at 53 Hertz, so a couple more Hertz than usually. In backup operation, then the coordinator runs with higher frequency and throws out the other inverters of the system. Now it is necessary, if you want to run parallel backup, that all the inverters, they have set the same backup frequency offset, so that they all run at the same frequency during backup operation. I guess you know this setting. You find it in device configuration, and then you click on inverter. And if you scroll down a bit, then you get to backup power, and then you find this here, backup frequency offset. So usually you will set this offset then at 0 for all the devices. We know that for some loads, they have difficulties running with higher frequencies. Then you go to the parallel backup coordinator. We are still here in device configuration, and if we click on function and IOs, then we can set up the backup power settings. This hasn't changed. You already know it. You see here full backup. So for the master, for the coordinator, you will select full backup. You select the pins it needs, and what is new, we have here this slider. And if we activate it, then we can set the pin, the additional pin that is needed for sending the signal to the other inverters. As I said, by default, this is pin 2. So we select here pin 2. Then we go to the supporters, to the other inverters. Again, we click on function and IOs, and we are in the backup power settings. Only that we here do not select full backup, but parallel backup supporter. So there's a different option for supporters than for the coordinator. Similar, we set the backup pins 6 and 7, and also the parallel backup support. So on which pin does it support the signal from the master for for running in backup operation. Then, and this is probably the most important message of this whole webinar, then there is a new switch. There it says rapid switch mode. And most importantly, please do not activate this rapid switch mode with the current switches. So either if it's the manual switch or the automatic controller. If you activate it, then you will get this note here. This setting only works with the Fronius backup controller 63A. Activating it without the device can cause significant damage to equipment. Fronius is not liable for any damage resulting from this configuration. What does this mean? So first of all, and this is the leak I have to give you, we are working on a new controller, as you can see. And if you read this carefully and you read 63 amps and you read rapid switch mode, then I think you can combine what this new backup controller will be capable of. I can't give you more information for that now. we will present this new backup controller at the Intersolar in Munich. If you're there, we're happy if you stop by. And anyways, you will receive then the information for what this controller is and what new options you can do with it. But again, most importantly, as long as you have not this new controller, do not activate rapid switch modes. This option will be available with the new software, but without the appropriate hardware, we cannot activate it, or you shouldn't activate it. And then, besides that, let's go to some further features with this new software, with software 1.41. I said it in the beginning, you can now set the import limit. I think this option is already available, but still it is worth mentioning it. If you go to safety and grid regulations, then you not only find export limitation there, but also import limitation. Then you can select current limit. It's the only option you can do, so no other possibilities. And then you can set an limit in amps. This is the limit you set for the whole household at the feed-in point. And if the inverter knows this limit, then it can charge more effectively the battery, for example, with the ECA, with the energy cost assistant. I guess you know the energy cost assistant. This is our automatic battery management that is also charging the battery from the grid if the flexible energy price is at a low, and this energy cost assistant is calculating now it makes sense to charge the battery from the grid, so to have the energy at a later point. So far, we could only charge the battery with maximum 1.5 kilowatt because we didn't know the household limit, and then we just want to make sure that we do not exceed this limit. That's why only 1.5 kilowatt. However, that means that it takes a lot of time until the battery is charged, and it can only benefit from low prices on a small scale. With this import limit set, the inverter knows the maximum limit and can then adjust the battery charging to it, so the battery can charge much faster. Also a good example is our manual battery management from the Solar web app, also known as the storm mode. So if you go to the Solar web app and you scroll down, then there's a button for charging the battery manually, and then the battery is charging to 100% and is locked for 24 hours in order to be prepared for an upcoming storm, for example. Also with the manual battery management, so far only a maximum of 1.5 kilowatt charging power could be realized. And you can imagine if you already see the clouds on the sky and you only have 1 or 2 hours left until storm is coming, then you cannot charge the battery at a high level. This now changes with this import limitation. Also, the battery will charge much faster with more energy. So a good feature, set here the import limit of your customer. And the second feature that comes with, or to be exact, the third feature that comes with 141 is a new interface for multiple inverter control. You can see it here. There's an option for export limitation and another option for multiple inverter control. So far, those two things have been combined in one section. Now we have separated them. And if you click on multiple inverter control, then, so if you click on export limitation, then you set the export limit. I think it's self-explaining. And if you click on multiple inverter control, then you set the control for other inverters. This interface hasn't changed. Only option has changed for use Modbus Sunspec instead of MQTT. If you have a smart meter that runs with the MQTT protocol, for example, our smart meter IP, then you can use this more exact and faster communication. And otherwise, you can use Modbus Sunspec. You will then find here the other inverters that are on the same network, and you can connect to them and control them by export limitation. So we get to already to an end to this short and compact webinar. Let me summarize what I tell you. So a new software version will come out middle of June. It will be a version 1.41. With that, we get 3 new things. First of all, and most importantly, parallel backup will be possible. So far, only one hybrid inverter could run during backup operation, and the other inverters had to be thrown out of the system. This happened by setting a higher frequency for backup operation. Now, several inverters, to be exact, a maximum of 5 inverters can run during backup operation. They however, only one battery system, this hasn't changed, and only Fronius inverters, no third-party inverters, no snap inverters, no gas generators. If you're asking when will it be possible to have multiple battery systems in backup operation, or in general in a PV system, then I have to ask you for some more patience. We are working on it, and we are optimistic to launch this this new feature within 2027. And beside parallel backup, you need to have the same offset, the same frequency offset for all the inverters, and you have to do the right settings. We need an additional pin. By standard, this is pin 2, so that the backup coordinator can send the signal to the supporters that they are allowed to run in backup operation. Most importantly, do not activate the rapid switch mode unless you have the right backup controller for it. The right backup controller will be presented at Intersolar, and we're very happy to welcome you there. And input limit can be set, and dynamic power control has a new interface, but not a lot has changed. As always, the recording will be forwarded to you within the next days. If you're interested in further webinars or trainings, feel free to register on our website. I thank you for your attention. I wish you a wonderful weekend and a lot of success with our products. I'm happy to see you within the next webinars or trainings. Until then, bye-bye.